Eyup, cock. We're going to do our League One review for this weekend's games and Thursday night, which was Peterborough 3, Stockport 0, which we're live on Sky and I actually watched this game, so I have a full understanding and I'm not just blagging it as I go along. Now, I did actually call this, like, not the full thing, I didn't say 3-0, but I did actually call a Peterborough win, which is ridiculous because Peterborough, well, now the 21st, but before this game, I can't remember where they were, maybe a couple of places lower, 23rd maybe, and Stockport were top. So why would you go for a Peterborough win? Stockport are ass, mate. That's why. Stockport smell. This is not a good league. Just because you're top of this division right now means no. Bradford are second and they've not won in 5 games. Lincoln are third and they've got 1 win in 5. It's a very even league. It's anybody's game. And I just don't think you could be looking at league position right now as anything. Because it honestly just means nothing. Stockport, if they'd have had Norwood and or Bate for this game, obviously Bate's been out for a long time now, but we know we've been injured for a couple of weeks. They are completely void of ideas without this guy at Middle Park. And I know it's easy to say because he's one of the best players in the league, so obviously you're going to take an hit when someone like that's not playing. If different teams get an injury to their best player, I feel like they've still got ways around it and can find different ways of winning. Stockport can't. They look hopeless without him. It's not just that either. It's not like Peterborough didn't win this game because Stockport are crap. Like I do think this is the best I've seen Peterborough. Like, even just from highlights that I've seen of previous games, this is one of the only, I think this is maybe 3rd time that I've watched Peterborough for full 90, but this is comfortably best that I've seen him play. They were very direct and quite fearless, I think you could say, which they've got a young side, so expect something like that. But for Luke Williams to have come in and just immediately turned them around, they've won 4 games in a row in all comps, they look a lot better defensively as well. That's something that I would say. Going forward, they were okay anyway, not anything electric like you'd expect from Peterborough, but defensively they were horrendous. And I do think they've found what is the best for now in defence. There's no kids running around that just aren't good enough that's been shoehorned in. This Mills is a kid, but he's actually half decent. And I think that looks a lot more somewhat like, from Woods and Collins backwards, it looks a lot better. And if Williams can get some of these boys firing up front, then they're going to be fine anyway. I thought this was a team that looked doomed, and that was case, well, before the season started, I had them going down anyway. I'm now probably going to change my mind. It's a really good win. Stockport, though, I don't know what the timescale is on Norwood. I think he's out for a few weeks. But I just think they've got to limp through this period while he's not there and just hope they're in and around playoff picture by the time it's done. Because if he's out for like another month, say, I don't know what it is, but say if he's out for 4 games, I don't think they'll win any of the next 4. And that being said, the next one is at home to Barnsley, so you never truly know. But what a win that is for Peterborough. Top draw. This Onks, though, I just think we played Port Vale at a really bad time because they just looked mint. Like, they looked incredible when they come to our place. Tollage obviously scored, and he gave it a little bit of biggin as well, which I wasn't keen on that one. I'm not one of these that's like, yeah, go and get some amateur former club. I'd love it if it happened and it would, like, they come to town and then we did it to them. But I have visions of Winall scoring for Wednesday and running down line against us, and I thought, if he carries on and gets to Pontian, somebody's going to do jail time for this bastard. But I'm not a fan of that. Port Vale brought you through, bro. I know they got him from like Aldershot or something, but Port Vale give you a chance, a lifeline, and you celebrate like that, you dog. But great win, regardless. Really good win for Plymouth. Needed, definitely. I still think Cleverley's hopeless, and my opinion of that really just ain't going to change, I don't think. Same way a few different gaffers. I've just got such hard-driven agendas now that I can't change it. But if a Port Vale side that looks like this, I'm not being funny, they look like this every game. I don't think this is a Darren Moore problem. Maybe they could be slightly more direct and shove a couple of men forward more often, Port Vale. But he can't run onto a pitch and score. It weren't really his game anyway as a centre-back. I don't think Darren Moore is the problem, personally. But it's a really good win for Plymouth. Wimbledon and Wigan. Oh, close there. That'd be Tony, some kid that's come on. That's his debut, and he's got really good free kick. And you know, that takes some nuts and all. For a kid to come on pitch and immediately step up to a free kick, it must be something, and he backs himself clearly, which is good. It's a really good thing. That'd be a nice finish and all. Solid. As far as debuts go, that's bob on. I do think we've been seeing this for a bit though, Wimbledon now. They've slid down to 8th in table after a really good start to the season, and what is still a very good start to the season. 16 games in to be 8th. Every Wimbledon fan alive is taking that. But 4 losses in the last 5 games is really not good. They're conceding quite a lot as well. The goals have dried up. Everything's just sort of levelling itself out at Wimbledon now, and I do think they will find the rightful place, probably in bottom 8 by the time it's all said and done. But I do think they'll stay up. They've given themselves such a cushion to start with that I know they are 8th, and you don't want to be looking over your shoulder when you're in 8th place. But they are, 9 points in front of 4th bottom. That's enough, you'd think, at this stage, with the amount of bodies in between you. That's enough to give you a cushion that you can be comfortable with. But I do think, seriously, soon, like, get a couple months, when you're like February, and you're looking at running, and you're looking later on and thinking, fucking hell, where we're going to be? I think Wimbledon will probably be swapped place with Wigan, and they'll be down here. That's a good win for Wigan. It really is, because I was starting to worry about them a little bit. I don't know if that's crazy, but I was starting to worry a little bit. Because again, if they'd not won this game, say if they'd lost, then that's in chuffy 19th. Like, it's a really tight league anyway. They don't offer loads going forward as well. That's the thing that worries me. And I know I said that when they've got 20 goals, but a lot of them are in like odd game where they're scoring a lot at once. They're regularly scoring like 1 or 2, and it's just not enough, I don't think, in a lot of games. But who cares? Realistically, who's bothered? Because this is the main event, baby. Barnsley 5, Luton 0. I've had time to reflect on this. I'm not going to come here and start saying just outrageously stupid things, but we're getting promoted easily. More importantly, I've always known this anyway, and I've said it a few times, I think, but to actually see it happen in the flesh and proper affirm my ideas is great. Because there are not many games this season where Barnsley have been on this end of possession. We, more often than not, are the Luton in this game. We have loads of ball, passing it right back defensively, don't really break lines. We resort to shit balls that don't really need to happen, just pinging it 60 yards for no reason, because you can't break down a low block. And that's exactly what we did. We played like a away side, and it worked perfectly. So when we get promoted, it bodes well knowing that we can go into a division higher with teams better than us, concede all at ball, and play really well at transition. And I think we could do what Charlton have done. I'm not saying that we're going to go and just be top 8. I'm not saying we're even going up, but we are. But you get my point. I think we could go up and play the exact same style, just with slightly better players, and do all right in that league. And you know what? I'll carry on glazing Barnsley's cock in a minute. But Luton are shite. Like, Liam Walsh, I'm not being funny. I've been collared a few times for this by Luton fans, and I've said it a couple times. I would hate to have this guy in my team. I'd hate it. When, you know, in 90s or early noughties, he'd have been a great player, and you'd have loved him. But you can't afford to have such a liability who you think could get a red card at any given moment every game. Especially when Walsh and Saville are the same player, and they're both trying to do the same thing. The two midfielders that come and drop deep and want to play it sideways and dictate tempo. You can't have two of these fellas that can't break a line ever in the same team. And I felt sorry for Saville because he lost his rag, because he's got 0-8, and I don't blame him. These four up front, or lads that they brought in afterwards, all useless. None of them forwards get a monkeys for Luton all game. I thought the best player that they had was Anderson. And again, he got ragged a couple times, but the Barnsley boy were only one that you could really say put a decent shift in. Ref were crap, and I'm sat here saying that after a 5-0 win, he must have been gutted. I bet he had a Gretel wedge on Luton, because he were absolutely awful. Like, Walsh should have been sent off, yeah, but every 50-50, he just had his whistle in his mouth every time Luton got ball. Like, I don't know if it's Pallaway a couple of them from Premier League or what, and they're going round to their houses for dinners, and their wives know each other and all this. But there was something going on with that ref as a cock. But apart from Luton being awful, like, Luton are a very honest club, and I really like the fans. Even they're saying after game, he should have been sent off, but if we had 15 off pitch, we want to lay the glove on you. Thanks. Someone acknowledges that we're this super team now. But everybody played well. Cleary, I tell you what, we have done shit recruitment for years. And that's the reason we're in this mess, and that's the reason we've sent like 11 loans out, because they're all crap. But some of the lads that we brought in this summer, like Kelly, Cleary, some like Watson, someone that good, like the loans are good. Not number one. That's not me saying number one, because I think Bolton will be number one. I'm just pointing upwards because that's where we're going. I'd probably go for one of these ones, if anything. Leyton Orient 1, Blackpool 1. Really good finish from Connolly again. You know what? I feel like every week I watch the highlights for all these teams, and every week I seem to see Connolly score a really nice finish that makes me think he shouldn't be in this league. Just the way that he strikes ball. I know he's a striker, and that's his job. Do you know what I mean? But mate, he's not scoring bobbled finishers. He's hitting it perfectly every time. It's pace and whip on every shot that he has. He is such a good striker for this level. And this is for a team that are currently 16th. 16th! Blackpool, I would not worry about this. Like, you've obviously... I don't think any Blackpool fan would, to be fair. I think everybody's sort of on the same wave here that Blackpool stay up now. More recently, I took some convincing, in fairness, but away they're absolutely dog shit anyway. So this is a really good point. Obviously, you're out by red card here, which were just, I don't think it were a second yellow personally. I think you've got a good showing in yourself. In the last few games since Everett's come in, In the last few games since Everett's come in, Blackpool have been picking some more wins up. They're more consistent. They will be fine, I think, now for a side that's third bottom. But I do sit here, and we can come and look at this end of the video. But I am struggling big time to see who's going to go down now. I have not got a clue. I'm starting to worry a little bit about Port Vale, but I don't think the manager's probably, and I think he'll get sacked, which is why I think they're in trouble, really. Then your Exeters and maybe Readings of this world, maybe they could be in a bit of trouble, sides that don't really create a great deal. But I do think Blackpool will be fine. And Leyton Orient, I truly don't think are that far away from pushing themselves up table. You know, like Wycombe have just come out of nowhere in the last few weeks, and we'll come and look at them soon. I think Leyton Orient could be one that just flies up really quickly. Because 21 points, you win one game and you're in 9th. So nobody's that far off anything, really. Mansfield and Huddersfield. Didn't really see this one either. I did think that Mansfield would win this, which might have been a bit stupid when Mansfield had lost their previous 2, which one was away at Huddersfield. That might have been a bit daft. And Huddersfield now, including the Mansfield game, have won 3 in a row. It's probably the same as Cleverley in my eyes. I just don't think Grant is a good manager. And I truly don't think anything's going to change my mind now unless they be where they should be, which is top 2. Or 3rd at the very least. I don't think you can be 7th in division with the Huddersfield side that you've got. And no Huddersfield fans happy with this anyway. You're obviously happy with recent performances and the last couple of wins that you've got. But 7th, for the money that Huddersfield have spent in the last 2 summers, well, last 2 transfer windows and 2 seasons, is absurd. It got completely overshadowed by Birmingham breaking transfer record 15 times in 1 week. Huddersfield spent shitloads of brass. They should be 3rd at least with Bolton and Luton. They are the best 3 teams, personnel-wise and squad-wise. Spent most money. They've got the best teams. That is what you expect to be top 3. So they're all failing by their own regard, but I think Bolton are clearly showing what they're about on a consistent basis, even though they've drawn, and it's another one that, well, we're not going to touch on that actually. But Bolton have got a decent point off Bradford, and you can clearly see something with them. Huddersfield, last couple of weeks, maybe I'm just missing something completely. He's actually been playing quite well, to be fair. But I think they made a Mansfield defence that looked well off it quite poor. They did make them look poor. And they have deserved a win here. I'm not saying that at all. But on a consistent basis, I expect more from Huddersfield than what they are showing. I expect them to be rated top. And I said this last week, you are harsher on teams that you expect a lot more from. And I'm like that with your Birminghams and Southamptons and Ipswichers at Championship. And I'm going to be like that with Huddersfield until season's done. Because Huddersfield should be near top. They should be a lot closer to top than what they currently are. And yes, 2 wins in a row does help the promotion push a little bit, I guess. But I just don't see it consistently enough for what they should be doing. Mansfield, I'm not worried. Again, 2 losses in a row. It's really just not that... It's not all that at the minute. You know you're not going to be a top 6er, but I also think realistically, you know you're not going to be at bottom 4. And anything from 20th to 7th, I think a Mansfield fan would truly take. This is a very big win. Very, very big win. I'm not going to go and just like change my mind and say, oh yeah, I actually saw this coming. I didn't. I really did not see this coming. I think Cardiff have been pish for a while now. My opinion's not going to change because of 1 win away at Northampton. I don't think they lit world on fire, really. There were some really good finishes in there. An own goal. The one from Willett late on. Yeah, Willett scored a really nice goal late on. Obviously, you have got the odd bit of quality in there, like Capacchio's just fantastic. Some of these kids that you're bringing through, that's a good finish. But then an own goal and a screamer does not strike me with loads of confidence that this is going to change for Cardiff and that they are going to start scoring loads of goals again and being defensively very good and completely dictating, dominating play all the time. I don't see that from Cardiff going forward, which is what I saw at start of the season. Again, someone I'm going to be more harsh on after seeing them at start. Knowing how good these kids are, knowing how good anyway that your Salic and your Colwells, Kellermans, Chambers, all these boys are that good. You've got a really good keeper in there. Cardiff are another one that should be right near top. And obviously, this just sounds a bit silly because they are top. But I've expected more in the last couple of games. You expect a lot more from a side that can be really good in this league, Cardiff. Reading and Rotherham, it's another good point, you know. It's another good point. They create absolutely naff all. As always, Rotherham really. It retired a finish, to be fair, from Benson. I don't know where Nombe is. I don't know if he's injured again, but I've not seen him. I don't think he played last week either. Oh, he's injured again. And then, just in classic textbook Reading style, it weren't Lewis Wing this time. It's Charlie Savage who scored an absolute thunderbastard from edge of box. I've come into this video as well thinking I'm going to speak a lot about this one because there's so many different avenues and points that I could go down. Like, going to table now. Do I think Rotherham will get relegated now? Something that I thought were going to happen at start of season. No, I don't really think they're going to go down now. Do I think that Reading will? Something that I didn't really think at start season. I'm now thinking maybe there's a chance. It's obviously a very tight league and it's anybody's guess who's going to go down in a minute. But then at the same time, Reading are playing like this and creating a little bit more under new gaffer than they were under Hunt. But they still have to rely on a screamer from edge at box to win your games or get your points. And that is not reliable on a consistent period, especially when you're not winning loads of games and a lot of them are draws. Rotherham have been better recently, and to be fair, the stats were like this in a lot of the recent wins. But if you're churning wins out, you're fine, aren't you? So I'm now past the point of no return with Rotherham. I think they'll be fine. But Reading, I'm starting to worry about a little bit that they can't score consistently enough by making decent chances. You can't just rely on screamers from edge of box or it will catch up with you. Wycombe 3, Lincoln 2. Bell looks good. Where's that? No, he actually looks quite good. That second one were a decent finish. They brought it back to 2-2, and then Grimace scored the winner in the 88th minute. It did look quite an even game with the shots and big chances for both teams. There were quite a lot going on. But Wycombe at minute, I'm telling you, if we'd have won that game when we were 2-0 up with like 5 minutes left and we ended up drawing, that's a rate point. Even regardless of the fact that we threw 2 goals away, that's a rate point, that is. We've had some tough fixtures. You know what I would say? Lincoln remind me a little bit of Leyton Orient from last season in terms of a side that's punching above the weight that I think genuinely could consistently stay there. I know they've lost this game, and recently you're looking at 1 win in 5. I look at a lot of the teams, like, even if you want to go as far as, it would say like Mansfield upwards, and teams that you look at and think they're not that far off, they could genuinely have a decent chance here. As some of the smaller sides, Lincoln are one, and Bradford to be fair, but Lincoln are one that I look at and think they could act this for a full season. They really do look a well-drilled, good side across loads of different areas of pitch. January is going to be tough for someone like this when you're going up against a Cardiff and a Bolton and Huddersfield and the money that they can spend. But I quite like Lincoln. Wycombe have come from absolutely nowhere since Duff's come in, and they now remind me of Barnsley when we got to play a final last Wednesday. But that's just not just because of the Duff aspect. The way they play, the way and the manner that they get the goals, I am liking Wycombe. You know, I think they've really turned a corner since Duff come in. He's probably got a grip for him. He's nailing down certain positions, I think, because they've got a really big squad. So to find your best 11, I think, is a tough gig for something like this. But I'm quite liking Wycombe as an outside shot now. I really am. They're a good old team they are. And so are Lincoln, which makes it even more impressive that Wycombe have won. And then Stevenage, Donny 0-0, don't care. Same as Bolton and Bradford. Really big old game this is. And I think I went for a draw anyway. Yeah, I went for a 1-1. I'm not surprised that it's finished as 1, and it just looked like 2 good teams cancelling each other out, which is what I've said in a lot of the games that Bradford have played against good sides. They just cancel each other out and they belong in this sort of picture. I'm not going to talk about 0-0s. Respectfully. And then, for the table, we have got Port Vale, Plymouth, Blackpool and Peterborough as the bottom 4, but I think Peterborough are looking like they'll probably get out now, and Blackpool. But moving up the table, obviously the 5-0 win for Barnsley takes them up to 9th with 3 games in hand. Wycombe are in that picture as well on 23 points. They've been doing really well recently. Wimbledon, Stevenage, like a lot of these sides that have done really well so far, but have started to slip a little bit with the results more recently. Huddersfield 2 wins in a row. But after a really, really good week for an outsider, only Cardiff in the top 6 won. So the top at league, but 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th all drew, all lost, which is really good for your Huddersfields, Barnsleys, Wycombes, Lutons that want to get in there. Not so much Luton. But it's been an absolute pleasure. I love you all. Thank you very much for watching. Kiss. Make sure you like, subscribe if you do enjoy and hype the video. There will be a championship version of this out tomorrow. I'm just waiting for Steel City Derby, which kicks off today at the time we're recording this. And these are the last 2 videos and the live tomorrow with Jim that I'm going to be doing with this setup, and then we're over there and I'm going to show you what it is. Right, boys, pleasure. Love you all. See you in a bit. Goodbye.
I say I'm a man, yes, I'm a mucker. I think of me saying as a right good looker. I say up that. Show us bit it.